bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our streams.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. And because it's Thursday night, you know what that means. We are in the Gym Pack Zone, where we cover all things TNA and Impact. I am James Gisanti, and I am very excited to have this episode with you guys tonight. Not only did we have a great episode of Impact, we will be announcing the winner of our Joe Hendry giveaway, where we will be giving one lucky fan, one lucky member of the community, a Joe Hendry autograph, and an exclusive Pro Wrestling Tees Joe Hendry t-shirt. This t-shirt was only available for 1 hour on the market. It is gone forever, and we've got one for you. So excited to announce the winner later tonight. We're going to do it at some point during the show. But yeah, guys, we're coming off of an excellent Victory Road event that TNA held over the weekend. Like I told you when I reviewed that episode, when I reviewed the show, they delivered a lot of action, and we are really building our way to Bound for Glory. A lot of the pieces have been set. A lot of the pieces were set at Victory Road, and now we're definitely starting to see the groundwork continuing to be laid tonight on Impact. You guys know the deal. Because I'm by myself, because I don't have my producer boy with me, I got to do the social media as well. I'm doing my best here. I don't think it's going that poorly, but if you see me looking off, you know what I'm doing. I'm dealing with all the social media everywhere, because if you're not watching us on YouTube, you might be watching us on X, or you might be watching us on Facebook, or maybe even Instagram. I don't know if that's even possible, but you might be doing it. Good on you for breaking the mold. Good on you for being a little different. But I got to acknowledge everybody everywhere. So that's why if you're not looking at my beautiful eyes, it's because I'm looking at you beautifully through our social media platforms right now. But we started the show with Alicia Edwards, who has a bone to pick with her former Militia tag team partner, her former Militia tag team champion partner, Masha Slamovich. Alicia coming out and saying how she has a bone to pick with Masha, that she is no longer a champ in TNA, and she knows the fans are really upset about it. She says if it wasn't for Masha, she would still be a champion. She says if Masha thought she could embarrass her in front of the whole world, she had another thing coming. This brings out Masha Slamovich. Alicia says Masha can't do anything because Alicia is under concussion protocol, which I think is legit. It explains why she didn't wrestle at the pay-per-view, and Tasha Steelz was subbing in for her. And she also says that she knows Masha doesn't understand a word, as she doesn't speak English. Masha then starts in Russian and then moves over to English and says she understands everything she's ever said. Guys, this is the first time we're hearing Masha speak in English on TV in the TNA world, in the Impact Zone, and it was quite the moment. It's something that I never really thought would feel like such a big moment, but it absolutely was. Sorry, dealing with that social media, that pesky social media again. By the way, I do want to reiterate, if you guys are in the comments right now, if you're here watching live, I do appreciate you. If you type in the comments, I believe, I will give you guys another entry into the Joe Hendry giveaway. So type in I believe, and you're getting another shot on top of all the opportunities we've already given you to potentially win this Joe Hendry combo pack. So write in those comments, I believe, all right? But after Masha shocks us all with her English, she says she's sick of hearing Alicia's voice, and she's sick of hearing her. At this point, Tasha Steelz comes in and attacks Masha from behind, but Masha pulls her by the hair and beats on her until Alicia hits her with a kendo stick. This brings out the Knockouts World Champion, Jordan Grace, and she goes after Tasha. She grabs the kendo stick. Before she grabs the kendo stick, she blocks a shot from Tasha with the championship belt. It was a really cool moment. It was a really cool visual, her protecting herself with her championship. She then grabs the kendo stick from Tasha, hands it to Masha. That's gonna be a tongue twister for me later, I could tell. And as they're getting ready to take on the other two knockouts, the tag team champions, the men's tag team champions, the System, come running down and make the save for Alicia and Tasha, and they surround Masha and Jordan Grace. At this point, the Hardys come out and they make the save for Masha and Jordan, surrounding the System as they leave. This brings out Santino Marella, and he says that if they want to fight so bad, they're going to get their wish. And he books a 6-person tag team match for tonight as the Hardys team up with Masha Slamovich to take on the System and Tasha Steelz. This then brings out Ariana Grace. Ariana Grace, the liaison of NXT and TNA's relationship. She then books a match for next week for Jordan Grace and a tag team match against Wendy Chu and Rosemary and a mystery partner from NXT. Who that person is, we don't know, but Ariana Grace describes her as one of her best friends. Not something that we'll only be hearing now tonight. Jonathan saying he believes. Thank you, Jonathan. Tina, Mama Tina, she believes as well, as does Cheyenne Elrod. Everybody believes in Joe Hendry, and quite frankly, I do not blame you guys. He's quite the star. But I thought this was a fun way to start the show. I thought this was a fun way to get a lot of people involved in the start of Dynamite. Dynamite Impact. My bad, guys. When you're a one-man show like I am lately, all the shows start to blend together. Ooh, Tessa. Tessa also saying she believes. Tessa, you guys, all 4 of you are getting an extra entry into the Joe Hendry combo pack giveaway. So don't worry. I'll put you in at the end. But very cool to have everybody in the comments tonight. But yeah, like I said, I thought this was a great way to start Impact. So many stars. You have the System, you have the Hardys, you have Masha, you have Alicia, you have Tasha, you have Jordan. That's a lot of star power on your screen at the beginning of the night. I like it. I like it. I like it. And like I said, we're starting to see these feuds building up to Bound for Glory. The Hardys did beat the System last week on Impact. Wouldn't be shocked if they're in line for a TNA tag team title shot. And Jordan Grace dealing with not just Masha Slamovich, but Tasha Steelz and everything going on with NXT. It's only a matter of time before she starts to run herself ragged. Tessa, I'll do it for you. One day, I promise you guys, I give you my word, as long as this podcast is running, I will do my best to get Joe Hendry on the show. Even if it's for a split second, I'm going to do everything in my power to get Joe Hendry on this show. You'll see. But moving on, we now go to our first first backstage segment of the night, as Josh Alexander is met by Eric Young. Eric walks up to him and says he's been in the position that Josh is in now. He says it's about respect, and there's a lot of young guys looking at Josh's every move. He says that Josh is a leader here in TNA, and it's time to take that seriously. I don't know what they're planning with Josh. There's another segment later tonight that we'll talk about when we get there. But I wonder if this is the start of a babyface turn a babyface turn for Josh Alexander again. I think it would be a weird move considering how recently he turned heel. I wouldn't quite want that. It's not something that I think would benefit anybody. So maybe this will be a swerve. Maybe this will lead to a betrayal, whatever. But they're definitely planning something for Josh as we move forward. As we come back from commercial break, we move elsewhere backstage as Masha Slamovich is walking down a hallway, and she is met with Jordan Grace. Jordan tells Masha that with all of the open challenges that Jordan has been laying out, she's really been hoping that Masha would have answered one by now, and she's hoping now that things are different. She's no longer aligned with Alicia Edwards, and she's no longer the TNA Knockouts tag team champions with her, that maybe she will answer that challenge. Masha says she has other things going on right now, and that leads her to knocking on the door of the Hardys. She shows them a picture of a young her. It was very sweet, saying how she was a young girl in Russia and she would look up to the Hardys, and she never thought that she would ever team up with them. Matt says that's the beauty of pro wrestling. You never know what can happen, where people could pop up, but they all have a job tonight and next week to remind everyone why TNA is so white hot right now and why TNA is one of the best promotions in the world. Good promo for Matt, and Jeff was certainly there. Tessa saying that would be epic. Yeah, no, I agree, Tessa. I would love to, personally at this point, I would love to see Masha Slamovich be the person to take the Knockouts title off of Jordan Grace. I love Jordan. I am in no rush for that title to leave her waist, but when the time comes, it should be a TNA star. It should not be an NXT star, and there is nobody who is as primed. There is nobody who is as ready as Masha Slamovich. Moving on. Also Annabelle saying that she believes. Good job, everybody. More entries for everybody, so just be ready for that. We then go to our first match of the night, thankfully. You know, we're 3 segments in at this point. We need some wrestling on the show. As we see First Class, Casey Navarro still subbing in for Rich Swann, teaming up with AJ Francis to take on Sinner and Saint. Now, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not too familiar with Sinner and Saint. I know they've been on the TNA roster for like a hot minute, but they really haven't had too much TV time. They haven't been getting that much exposure. If they've been on Explosion, that's my bad for not really taking too much notice. But I was excited to see them wrestling on Impact tonight. I thought they did fine, but I think both teams were in a weird position where they couldn't afford a loss. AJ Francis and Casey Navarro, First Class, has not really picked up a win since Navarro's been subbing in for Rich Swann. They've taken some high-profile losses. And Sinner and Saint, having not been on TV in quite some time, not a great way for them to come back to TV if they're going to take a loss. But out the gate, you know, you have Casey Navarro still healing it up, still hamming it up, and he's been killing it, quite frankly. We've been saying how we're fans of him here at the pod. We've met him a couple of times at House of Glory. We've met him a couple of times at some indie shows, and the kid's got so much upside. So we're really rooting for him here, and he keeps showing off, and I think he's really finding himself in this tag team with AJ Francis. But right out the gate, Navarro chops Icarus and hits a double stomp, getting a 2. He then tags in Francis, who whips Casey into Icarus, but Icarus flips him over to the outside, and then he hits a DDT to Francis to tag in Travis Williams. Williams hits a missile dropkick to Casey and hits a suicide dive to Casey outside the ring. He then turns him inside out with a face buster, only getting a 2. At this point, Francis launches Icarus into Williams and hits the down payment with a splash from Navarro to get the 1, 2, 3. Like I said, First Class desperately needed this win. First Class absolutely needed to rebuild some momentum. I'm just happy that we're seeing some new teams get some rub, even in a loss with Sinner and Saint. And this wasn't the only time we see them on screen tonight. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I really want this tag team division to heat up again. We have the Hardys. That's great. It feels like they're primed for a title shot, most likely at Bound for Glory. You have the tag team champions, the System. You have the former champions, the ABC. Now you have First Class. You have Sinner and Saint. You have the Good Hands. Hawaiian Valkyrie saying she believes as well. Valkyrie, I will definitely put you in for another entry. Get ready. That's going to be fun. So you guys are all gaining extra entries for your comments. One entry per at this point, guys. Sorry about that, but got to make it fair to everybody. But yeah, Valkyrie, you're back in it again. But yeah, I want this tag team division to heat up. I want there to be some competitive action, and I want there to be some freshness. James also saying that he believes. Thank you, James. Appreciate you. You'll also get another entry. But yeah, good action, and the night just keeps on rolling as we head backstage for another segment, this time with Mike Santana, who is getting ready for his Texas death match against JDC later tonight. Santana says Santana's walking with a barbed wire bat. And then he says that people don't realize how comfortable he feels in this world. He says he's going to baptize JDC in his own blood. He says they're locked in this world with him. Mike Santana looking like a tough son of a gun. Mike Santana definitely getting ready for a painful match later on. Can't wait to talk about that when we get there. We then go elsewhere backstage as Speedball Mike Bailey is being interviewed by Mean Gia Miller, hardest working woman in TNA. Gia is speaking with Mike Bailey, who recently re-won the X Division Championship from Zachary Wentz at Victory Road. Bailey says it feels great and says that the X Division is the most competitive division in all of wrestling. Gia says that Santino Marella booked him, Leon Slater, and Kushida against Zachary Wentz and the ABC for next week. Bailey says that he can't wait for it. I do like how confident Speedball is when it comes to the X Division. Another James. Wow, we got a lot of Jameses tonight. This James also saying that he has a name twin in the comments, but he's late. And he also believes. So I promise when the time comes, I will be able to differentiate you Jameses for your win. We'll talk later. If somehow one of you wins, I will deal with it. But I promise you I'll be able to keep you guys separate. But that's awesome. And glad everybody's excited for the giveaway. But I do love Speedball's love for the X Division and how he even says it in the interview. To be the X Division champion doesn't just mean he's the best. It means he's the best of the best. I love that. I love how he wants to build up the X Division as not just a mid-card division in TNA, which it's never supposed to be, but as its own entity, just as equal, just as important as the World Championship or as any division in all of professional wrestling. So very much looking forward to that trios match next week on Impact. We then get ready for Matt Cardona versus Rhino. Now, before that match gets started, we see some footage, some digital media exclusive footage of Steph DeLander keeping PCO calm after Victory Road. SDL telling PCO that he needs to be patient when it comes to dealing with Cardona. We then get to the matchup, Cardona versus Rhino. Right out the gate, Rhino is trying to attack Cardona, trying to bring the fight to Cardona before the bell even rings. But Cardona runs out the ring himself. Chicken. Once the match does get started, Rhino, this is a quick one. It's almost not even fair to really rate it as a matchup. It's really not. Rhino follows Cardona up the ramp where he suplexes him. Cardona then hits once the action gets back in the ring, Cardona hits a missile dropkick, only getting the 2. Cardona is pushing Rhino in the corner, but Rhino catches him with a power bomb, also just getting a 2. At this point, Rhino goes out of the ring, goes under the ring, and is looking for a weapon, and he pulls out a chair. The referee tries stopping him, but Rhino throws the chair in the ring. As Rhino gets in the ring, Cardona picks it up and hits him with that same chair, and the referee calls for the bell. Cardona continues the beatdown when the lights go out, and out comes PCO, who hits a big choke slam onto Cardona. He's about to go for the PCO salt, but Cardona moves out of the ring. PCO continues, though, and hits the PCO salt onto the steel chair that Cardona had just used on Rhino, and then he just continues to deliver hammer fists to the chair. It was one of the best things I've seen PCO do in a long time. It showed how angry he is, it showed how unhinged he is, and it showed how dangerous he is right now, and just how much Matt Cardona needs to be afraid of him. That chair was destroyed by the time PCO was done with it, and if he could do that to a steel chair, I am not looking forward to what Cardona's ribs are going to feel like, or what his face is going to feel like at the end of this matchup. At the end of their eventual matchup, I should say. We then have a Knockouts tag team title match, which just surprised the hell out of me. But before their opponents come out, Ariana Grace, the NXT TNA liaison, comes out and congratulates both women on winning the Knockouts tag team titles and says that she would like to see them defend their titles against some new competitors, where she then introduces two of her very best friends. You're seeing a recurring theme here. Kendall Gray and Carly Bright. Guys, no disrespect at all to Kendall Gray and Carly Bright. They had some nice spots here where they did get to show off a little bit, but man, did nobody know who they were. TNA, Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt really did their best to hype these two up, but even they seemed a little lost on trying to explain who they were. Didn't have a lot of background to really give them much of a hype up to the audience at home. This is what I'm talking about when I say that sometimes it really does feel like the TNA NXT connection is one-sided. We're sending over our best of the best talent, and we're getting people that I watch wrestling pretty much every day of the week, and I didn't know who these guys were. So I wish it wasn't the case, but still, this is what we got, and the matchup was fine. Spitfire coming out the gate, hitting Kendall Gray with a delayed vertical suplex for 2. This was a nice spot. The women really showed their strength. Danny Luna and Jody Threat really showing their strength here. Danny goes for a power bomb, but Kendall is able to push Danny and then tags in Carly Bright. She then hits a head scissors onto Danny and hits double knees, followed by a hurricanrana off the second rope, and then a moonsault, but again, only getting a 2 count. At this point, Jody Threat tagged herself in. She hit a moonsault of her own, and then they hit the pressure drop tag team move for the win. I really liked the pressure drop. That was a fun tag team maneuver. It's what won them the titles at the pay-per-view, and I think it's a great, great tag team finish. So good looking out from Spitfire, and hopefully if NXT continues to challenge for those titles, we start to see a higher caliber or just bigger names in general coming over to the Knockouts division, challenging for those belts. But we shall see. Let's see. We got some comments here. Dragoon of the West saying, say his name and he appears. He believes in the Gym Pack Zone. Dragoon, we appreciate you. We love you here at the Market Down Podcast. And of course, we miss you. Soup alone doesn't work. Zinc pills, tea, and soup. The only tea that I'm going to drink is the iced kind, but I do appreciate the concern, my friend. I will check out the zinc pills, and still, nobody's brought me any soup. What am I doing here? But where's the soup? But I digress. We then go to a backstage segment where we're with Ash by Elegance. She is in the makeup room with her personal concierge when they are interrupted by Heather Reckless. Reckless comes up and says she's been calling Ash after she had gotten her card from her last week and says she wants to fix her style. The personal concierge then says, the Iceman says that they're very clearly busy and they'll think about it. She then asks them to watch her match next week as she is facing Xia Brookside, someone Ash says that she's already beaten so many times, and she'll think about it, but they're busy right now. I'm really liking Heather Reckless as an addition to the Knockouts roster. She's definitely some new blood that the company really needs. I did not imagine when she signed with the company that immediately she'd be going and aligning herself potentially with Ash by Elegance. Feels very Dana Brooke and Charlotte, but that's cool. Maybe that's what they're going for here. And time will tell if this is a good pairing. Like I've been saying, we need a better class of competitor. We need a higher grade of competitor for the TNA Knockouts titles. And considering how many times Ash by Elegance has failed at going after the Knockouts world title, maybe this is how she finally wins some gold in TNA. I'm not against that. I'm not against that at all. So the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm hyping myself up and the more I'm into this idea. So let's see where we go from here. Dragoon, I will cough my way to PA just to see you. Not tonight, but at some point I will. Keep you sick. But we then go to our advertised Texas Death Match as we have Mike Santana taking on JDC. And wowie. They really brought the heat here, guys. I know JDC isn't everyone's cup of tea. I know JDC isn't everyone's favorite member of the TNA roster, or hell, even maybe favorite member of the system. But ever since he's joined the system, I've really, really been enjoying the character rework, the character change, and I think he's been bringing it. And he certainly brought it to Santana in this matchup. Out the gate, Santana sets up some steel chairs in the middle of the ring, but instead of the seats facing each other, it's the ends of the seat, like the backs of the seat facing each other back to back. At this point, Santana then punches JDC into the corner, but JDC power bombs Santana onto the chairs. Now, I do got to say, whoever started up with this spot with the spines of the chair, the backs of the chair, being the central part of where you get dropped onto it, what's wrong with you? Why did you do this? You are killing people's backs now. I didn't mind when people would just land on chairs. It didn't need to be this much worse. Tyson, number one fan, saying Santana has been great in TNA. Tyson, I agree with you. Santana is really finding himself right now, and he's proving what he saw in himself as a singles competitor that nobody else was really giving him that shot. He's earning it, so I got to give it to him. We get him a lot here in New York as he is the House of Glory World Champion. So we're seeing him on a different level as a singles star, and I'm really glad that TNA is highlighting it as well. It's only a matter of time before he gets a shot at that world title. He probably almost definitely got a little derailed by Joe Hendry, but personally, I like Santana a lot. I'm rooting for him. I'm okay. And I think Santana being the guy to take the title off of Hendry at some point might not be a bad way to go. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm still rooting for Hendry to be champion and having a great run with the belt. But thank you for joining us, Tyson, and Tyson's number one fan. And you just gained another entry for the Joe Hendry giveaway. Well, if you write, I believe you do, but I'll count it. But after he drops him onto the chairs, JDC pulls out a trash can and puts it on Santana and then hits him with a kendo stick. JDC then goes to the top rope and hits a leg drop onto Santana into that trash can. Santana is busted open as we go to the commercial, but JDC pulls him up, and Santana then hits him with that barbed wire bat. As we come back from the commercial, both men are now on the ramp. Both men are now very bloodied. It started with Santana just sort of drizzling blood, but at this point, he is now gushing blood. Sorry for the visual if you guys are squeamish. But Santana then hits a big pile driver onto the stage, but only gets a 2. JDC then hits a tornado DDT off of the stairs that are leading up to the ramp, but again, he also only gets 2. JDC then runs into Santana, but Santana flips him over onto the barricade. Santana then gets an equipment cart and then drives it into Dango. Santana then climbs the stage. At this point, JDC is propped up on what looks to be like the stage tables on the outside, right outside the ramp, right outside the stage itself. Santana looks like he's going to dive onto JDC, but he stops himself. He goes back, grabs a ladder, sets it up, climbs to the top, and then hits a huge splash to get a 3 count, which confused me because it's a Texas death match. But at this point, then the ref counts to 10 and Santana wins. I don't know if that was a botch. I don't know if the Texas death match includes a pin and then a 10 count. I don't remember that being the case. Either way, undeniably, Santana has defeated JDC and gotten a measure of revenge against the system. But the celebration is cut short by the attack of Moose. Moose coming out and just wailing on Santana with a steel chair. Santana, we talked about Moose coming out of the pay-per-view. Maybe it looked like his days with the system were numbered, but if he's going to be this ruthless, if he's going to continue this assault on the roster, maybe he is going to stay at the top of the system. Time will tell. We then go backstage where we catch up again with the Sinner and Saint combo. They are met by Josh Alexander, who says to them that he still sees a lot of potential in them despite the tough loss. He says if they need any help or advice, they can always reach out to him. Again, I don't know if this is leading to a babyface turn for Josh Alexander, or if he's going to swerve us, and now he's got a little bit of a heel stable going on. Either way, him aligning with other people, him mentoring the younger stars of TNA is a good development for the character, and I'm eager to see where it leads. We then had a vignette package for Lei Ying Li, who will be debuting on TNA next week. She says she will be reborn as a stronger self that will never be extinguished. Looking forward to the debut of Lee next week on TNA Impact. We then go to our much hyped, much buzzed Joe Hendry segment, where we've been waiting to hear what Joe Hendry has to say after his huge win over Josh Alexander at Victory Road. Hendry comes out, and the fans, of course, are chanting, "We believe." Hendry says that this year has been a roller coaster, but he says that Victory Road was special, and he made a statement when he beat Josh Alexander. He says that makes him pretty important in TNA wrestling. He says when he came to TNA, his goal was the TNA World Championship. He says that there are a lot of people back there that don't want him to be successful, but that doesn't matter because the audience lifted him up, and he has a feeling they will lift him up to the TNA World Championship. This brings out the king of TNA, or I should say the self-proclaimed king of TNA, Frankie Kazarian. He says the only reason Hendry beat Alexander is because he had a loaded weapon in his crotch, something that he's sure isn't the first time he's loaded. He says that people become sick of one-hit wonders, and he is sick of Joe Hendry. He says that Joe sounds like a cross between Shrek and Groundskeeper Willie. That's really messed up. He then says if anyone deserves a shot at the TNA World Championship, it's him. It's Frankie Kazarian. He says if Nick Nemeth is any kind of champion, he will come out and grant Kazarian his title shot. This brings out the most dangerous man, the TNA World Champion, Nick Nemeth. He tells Kazarian to shut up. He then goes over to Hendry and tells him that he expects big things from Hendry in the future and shakes his hand. He says Kazarian calls himself the king of TNA, but there's only one crown that matters here, the TNA World Championship, and this is the closest Kazarian will ever get to it. This brings out Santino Marella once again, and he books for next week Frankie Kazarian versus Joe Hendry for the #1 contender spot to face Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Championship at Bound for Glory. This is going to be a huge match with huge implications. Cannot wait to watch it next week on Impact. Tessa saying, wave your hands from side to side. If it wasn't for my dislocated shoulder, I would do it, but I'll do it with one arm as we're believing in Joe Hendry. we then get to our main event, as we have the Hardys teaming up with Masha Slamovich to take on the System and Tasha Steelz. I love that TNA is never afraid to let the women and the men mix it up. It can be a tough spot to book yourself in when you have your baby faces not necessarily wanting to take on the heel women. But Masha Slamovich is no stranger to intergender wrestling, and she brought the fight to Brian Myers and to Eddie Edwards. The match starts, though, with Slamovich going against Tasha. See, that's just how I'm going to avoid the Masha Tasha bit. I'm just going to say the last names. Both women are going back and forth with the action early on, but we see things pick up when all 6 performers are in the ring, and the Hardys help Slamovich live a dream spot as she helps execute poetry in motion. Matt and Jeff then follow up with another big double team high spot before we get to a commercial break as the action continues. When we get back, the System are helping each other out, with Jeff hitting Whisper in the Wind, or attempting to hit Whisper in the Wind, only to have it thwarted by a quick sidestep and missing. Myers then goes to work on Jeff Hardy as fans are just eating him up. You suck, you suck. The System continue the lead for a little while longer as the Hardys help shift the momentum back to their team. Matt is just leading them with the delete chants. He goes for his finisher, but Alicia Edwards catches him at ringside. At this point, finally, the referee ejects her. She does not intend on leaving. She makes a big old stink of it, pretending to cry, refusing, until the ABC come out and carry her by her arms and just eject her from ringside personally. We get back into the match, and Tasha is attacking Masha. I got it right. From behind in the ring. At this point, Masha then hits a huge splash through the ropes onto Tasha onto the floor. At this point, Jeff then hits his Twist of Fate stunner onto Edwards, just completely bouncing him out of the ring. Matt then hits his Twist of Fate onto Myers, flattening him out, allowing Jeff to hit the Swanton Bomb from the top rope. Matt goes for the cover. We get the 1, 2, 3, and the good guys bring it home. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Masha Slamovich pick up the win as they are building momentum towards Bound for Glory. Guys, I very much enjoyed this show. Like I said at the start of our show, I think TNA did a great job of building momentum off of their big event, Victory Road. We have a long way to go until Bound for Glory. We essentially have a month and a half of TV before we get to Bound for Glory. And granted, we have an idea of where some of these matches are going. Like next week, we're going to see Joe Hendry and Frankie Kazarian battle it out to see who's going to be the number 1 contender for Nick Nemeth. We have a good idea of the Hardys being the number 1 contenders for the System. And Masha Slamovich is clearly trying to have to clean up her unfinished business with Alicia Edwards before possibly setting her sights on Jordan Grace. We'll see. I think this was a great follow-up, and I hope that TNA is able to build up the momentum next week. They do have a very good card on their hands. They really set themselves up for some good matches next week. So I, like all of you, am very much looking forward to seeing what happens next. But I understand. I know why we're all here now. We want to see who's going to win the giveaway. That is, even my washing machine wants to see who's going to win. There you go. While you guys are waiting, I'm going to have to keep you waiting just a second longer as we are trying to I want to add everybody's extra pick because it's only fair. If you guys commented like I told you to do, you get another pick. Should only take a second. And as always, I do appreciate you guys joining us here at the Mark It Down podcast. I hope if it was the giveaway that brought you here, you enjoyed the show regardless, and you stick around and you stay as part of the family. we cover all things wrestling here at the Mark It Down podcast, whether it's TNA, whether it's AEW or WWE. We are on TV. We are on your YouTube screens the majority of the week. We cover all the big pay-per-views. We cover all the sideshows that we can. When things are huge for Ring of Honor, we try covering that as well. When things are huge for New Japan, we try covering that as well. And I promise you, this Joe Hendry giveaway is just the first of many to come in the next few weeks, the next few months. We have a lot of big stuff coming now that we've hit over 1,000 subscribers. Guys, we saw a huge jump with this giveaway. So I promise you more are coming. So if you don't win this Joe Hendry giveaway, I am sorry, but I promise this isn't going to be your only shot to win something fun through us. And I don't want to tease too much, but it won't be the only time you might win something Joe Hendry related, period. With that, I am almost done adding the extra category, the extra entries, and then we will run it. Okay. So let's do this. On your marks, get set, and go. All right. Our winner is Dashing. What is it? Hold on. I'm looking up the random. I can't get it. Dashington Dalton. There you go. Dashington Dalton, you have won the TNA Joe Hendry giveaway pack. You have won a autograph from Joe Hendry and a t-shirt. We will get in touch with you. I don't know if you're watching right now. I don't know if you're watching or if you're going to be watching tomorrow. And guys, thank you everybody who participated. Thank you everybody who is in the views right now. If for some reason we can't get in touch with Dash, we will have a backup. We will run it again, and you still have maybe a chance. But as of right now, Dashington Dalton is our winner. And I am very excited to see you guys in a future video with us. Now, you guys know the deal. If you are new here at the Mark It Down podcast, thank you for joining us. Please hit that like and subscribe button. That way you can join us for all future stuff. And we know we're doing something right. If you're a regular with one of us, we appreciate you. We love you. And we'll see you on the next one as well. If you didn't get enough of us here on YouTube, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. And we are on X. So check us out at some point. Very cool of our contestants. Tyson #1 saying congrats to the winner. Tessa saying congrats to the winner. You guys are awesome. And like I said, whether it's a WWE giveaway, which we have 1 or 2 planned, whether it's a TNA giveaway, which we have 1 or 2 planned, or it's an AEW giveaway, which we have a couple planned as well, I promise you guys more fun stuff is coming. We will announce it on social media. We will announce it on Reddit. We will announce it here on YouTube. So don't give up. I promise lots of fun stuff coming up. But guys, thank you so much for checking us out tonight. I am exhausted. I am getting over being sick. And you guys have been an absolute blast to hang out with tonight. I'm James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. And on Thursdays, what are we? That's right. We're the Gym Pack Zone. Everybody have a great night. Everybody, as always, watch wrestling. And of course, watch TNA. Good night, everybody.